Yo, what up, guys? Your man, Mr. X to the O to the L to the U to the Sean, Mr. Solution. On today's episode, I want us to collectively look at Bitcoin to understand its moves recently. Right, we've been seeing a lot of chops, a lot of movement, and everybody's askance, everybody's confused. What is BTC doing? Are we dumping? Are we going up? What is actually happening? Right? There's this popular Italian maxim that says to catch a rat, you gotta learn how a rat thinks. All right, so Bitcoin is like a rat, so we need to catch this rat, and to catch this rat, we need to first of all learn how this BTC rat thinks. All right, before you is Trading View, right? And I'm doing this analysis on Trading View using FTX exchange. And if you are yet to register an account with FTX, I encourage you to go right now. I'll be leaving my registration link at the description section of this video, right? So go right ahead and click on the link, sign up with FTS exchange. Their my number one exchange is the exchange I've been using for almost a year now, yeah, over a year, so to say, and they've pretty much served me, giving me everything I need, right? So I encourage you to go right ahead and sign up with FTS exchange. And then if you're looking for a community to join, I welcome you to my Telegram channel. Is a community actually where I look at charts every day, right, to share my bias and what I'm seeing, right? So let's get into the meat of the matter, right? So before us here is BTC chart, and then this is daily time frame. All right, I just want us to do like a step-by-step analysis of this move, starting from when the uptrend, when we started this bull run up to the time when the bull run seemed to change, and then we started seeing a lot of crazy things happening, right? So I want you to be the judge, right? So we collectively analyze this, then you decide for yourself what is actually happening in the market. I'm not going to tell you that we are in the bull market or we are in the bear market. After the analysis, you'll be the one to judge and then decide for yourself if really this bull run is continuing or probably we are going down, right? So like I said, this is BTC daily chart, and remember, this is not intended to serve as any form of financial advice or investment advice. Whatever you do with what I share here is 100% up to you, right? I am not responsible for any decision you decide to take from after watching this video, right? So before us here is BTC daily chart, and then I want us to start with, okay, let's first of all get the path of this movement. First of all, from this point, that was from 19,000 or thereabouts, we started seeing this, right, move. We got this trend, we saw BTC get to this point, and then the next thing, it came down to this very point, and then another thing, it went up to this very point, and then this point, then we saw it here, it came down again, right, moved up to this apex, got to this very point, came down to this very level again, moved up here, then descended to this low again, then from this low it went up to this very point, then from this point it came down, from here it went up here, right, it went up here. This is just the simplest. What we are doing now is just to detect the trend, right? First of all, we need to know the trend of the market, right? If we get the trend of the market, we can now decide what is really happening, right? Let me start again. We got here, came down here, flew up to this place, came down again, jumped up here, descended here, came up here again, right, came down here, flew to this very point, came down to this very low, went up here, right, we went up to this point, came down to this low, and then here, right, here is where we are right now. Okay, so first I want us to understand this move, because for you to be a good analyst, you must sync your chart, you must sync your bias to the current and trend of the market. From here we started seeing this uptrend. Okay, so as long as this chart, these moves kept on making a series of higher highs and higher lows, okay, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, as long as every step, every break that BTC takes, as long as it's actually higher than the previous one, we can conclude that BTC is in an uptrend. As long as every move it makes is higher than the previous one it made, we concluded that BTC was in an uptrend. Okay, so before we continue, let me also bring out something else that will help us to do this. We'll be using moving average EMA. That's we'll be using 200 and we'll be using 200 and 500 exponential moving averages, right? Because these things also help us to detect trend. I'm not a fan of indicators, but sometimes the indicators actually help a lot. They help you to understand the move of the market at any point in time, right? So firstly we have the 200 day moving average. So I'll be using this one as my 200. Right, I'll be using these as my 200 and probably change the color to, let me, okay, blue is fine, or no, let me change it to yellow. Yellow, that's so remember that we have our 200-day moving average as this very one, and then the next one here we have the 50-day moving average, right? Input, this should be 50 EMA, and then the color style, let's change the color to probably white. Yeah, white, right? Okay, so we have that. We have our 200-day moving average, and then we also have the 50-day moving average. All right, so like I said, as long as we kept seeing a series of higher highs and higher lows, we conclude that BTC is in an uptrend. All right, so for this time, all these moves, BTC was actually in an uptrend, but then at this point something happened, right? Something happened at this point. And what actually happened? We discovered that immediately it got to this very high, that was 60 something thousand, BTC actually dropped. And then that drop actually made the price of BTC to go below this 50-day moving average. If you check for here, as long as this move continued, this 50-day exponential moving average was actually serving as a support, because anytime price got to it, it actually bounced. Anytime price got to it, it bounced. It got to it here, bounced. But then at this very point, price got to it, instead of bouncing, it rather went below it. That was a tip off, right? That was an indicator for us to know that something was going to happen. Because ordinarily, if you just backdate the chart, you see that this moves, anytime it touched it, it actually bounced up. But at this very point, it touched it, instead of bouncing off, it rather retraced, actually went below it. And then at a point, this 50-day exponential moving average that was serving as a support started acting as a resistance, right? So we kept on seeing it, kept on doing that up to this very point where it kind of went above it again. But then what happened? It came down again. It couldn't serve as the support that it had always served as. Rather, it now went below it, right? We saw BTC dump to this very low of 28k or thereabout. I can't really remember the exact figure. Okay, it actually dumped to a low of 29,100, right? BTC fell to crash to 21,100 from the high of 63,900 dollars. It actually crashed to this very point. That was actually a pointer for us to know that something had changed. Then coming back to this 200-day exponential moving average, I want you also to understand something, that as this uptrend continued, the distance between the 50 and the distance between the 50 and the 200 kept on widening. All right, so the distance kept on separating as the uptrend was going on, as the bull run was going on. The distance kept on widening, up onto this very point. Okay, here they call this the death cross. The death cross happens when the 50-day moving average goes below the 200-day moving average, or rather the death cross occurs when the 200-day moving average actually goes above the 50-day moving average. And that was actually what happened here, right? So we saw this death cross occurring around this 40k or thereabout region, right? We saw this death cross happening around 41k 40k region, and then the 50-day exponential moving average now went below the 200-day moving average, and that signaled the death cross, right, occurring in BTC. All right, so firstly, we have to understand the fact that trend has changed, because for this trend to continually be an uptrend, we need to understand that every new high has to be higher than the previous high. But then that couldn't continue, right? Because at this very point now, okay, even the low too, the low actually needs to be higher than the previous low. We had this low, this one higher than this higher than this, but then as it got to this very point now, this low was supposed to be higher than this, but it didn't happen. Rather, it was now lower than this. actually tried chasing this previous low, right? Actually tried chasing this previous low because it now went lower than the previous one. It became steeper than this current one. This At this point, that was when this trend changed. All right, that was when this trend. Of course, you should know that no trend goes up all the time. Right? Like, trend is not uniform. Sometimes it goes up, sometimes it goes down, right? So you need to align yourself with the trend. So at this very point in time where the previous low became lower than this low became lower than the previous low, that was this signaled the change of the trend. And also the high too, this very high became lower than the previous high, telling us that this trend has changed. So at this point in time, I am concluding that this was where everything changed. This was where the trend changed. And then if you still follow it too, you discover that even the next low that occurred was actually lower than this previous one too. This low was actually lower than this. And then we also saw another low. Maybe I didn't place this thing very well, because I remember that we had this 29k here, but then we had another drop that took us to around 28 or thereabout, that happened sometime last week. All right, so telling us that this low is actually lower than this. What it means is that this downtrend is still on. All right, and then we later saw BTC. Going to I think a high of 36k or thereabout. That was at this point. Okay, at this point we saw BTC going to 36k. That's $36,612, right? So what it means is that he made a low here. He made this low that was around 28k or thereabout, then got to this high of 36,000 plus, right, at this very point. So obtainably, if this downtrend is to continue, what it means is that we're actually expecting another low. So there is every tendency that we might still get, if this 36k is actually the apex. Of course, we can't conclude that this is the apex of this move until we get another move. And so far, I think we've gotten another move. We saw BTC go to 35,968. That was sometime towards the tail end of last week, towards last weekend. All right, so what it means is that we've already established another low here. We've established another low, and then we also established another high of 35,000 and something. Right, we've established another high of 35,968k. Remember that at this point we had 36,612. Here we are having 35,598. So assuming that this is actually the high of this, concluding that we are still in a downtrend, because this high is actually lower than this previous 36k we have. So what it means is that we should be anticipating another move downwards, and this move should definitely be lower than this, right? Okay, please, I think I didn't get something clearly, right? Okay, we got this very low here, and then we got a high of 36,000. Now for us to establish that this is the low and we've gotten a high here, we need to see this move. Now we need to see a move from this 36k that should go down to maybe something around 27 or 26 or thereabout. So what it means is that any downtrend that is coming, okay, any downtrend that is coming from here should actually take us to lower than the previous 28k that we had, maybe 27 or 26. I do not know. That is only that this thing is only obtainable when we are really sure beyond all reasonable doubt that BTC isn't going to make another move that should be higher than 36k, right? If BTC makes another move that is higher than 36k, it means that this is not the high so far, right? So we cannot conclude that this is the low of this, that this very low it made is the low of this, because we haven't seen another move, right? Another move that is higher than this. If we don't get another move that is higher than this, then BTC start descending. It means that to all intents and measures, we should see a low that should be lower than this current 28k we had at this point in time. Okay, now this is for the daily chart. This thing is obtainable when we are very sure that we are still in a downtrend. All right, so this thing can only be annulled when another move, let's say we get another BTC move, this move now goes, okay, let me take this, let's say we get another BTC move that goes higher than this previous high of 36k. Once we get, maybe let's say after this point now, maybe it starts moving again from this point, or maybe at this point now it starts moving again, it starts moving again and goes to something around maybe 37k k or thereabout, as long as any move, any uptrend that is coming again doesn't go higher than this previous high of 36k, yes, we can all conclude that this move is still a downtrend. We can only say that this downtrend has been defeated when we get another move that is higher than this very one, or assuming that this is the highest point of this 35,900 and something is the highest point of this, right? Assuming that this 35 is the highest point of this, what it means is that we should expect another low from here. But then if at this point in time this 35k didn't, this 35,968 didn't exhaust here, and then it still continued to move, probably got to get to 37k or thereabout, we can now conclude that this downtrend has been defeated, that BTC is starting another move upwards. Okay, so what I am actually concluding from this daily chart is that we are still in a downtrend until I get a move that is higher than 36k. I am saying that we are still in a downtrend. We've seen 35,968, right? We've seen 35,968, and then we got, okay, 35. We've seen 35,968. That's at this very point in time, and we've not seen anything that is higher than it. If we get something higher than 35,968 and also higher than 36,612, we can now conclude that this move is over, right? That this downtrend is over. Then from there we can continue our up only. Now this is for the daily chart. So at this very point in time, I am still expecting, if this 35,968 that BTC made at this very point is the high, so what it means is I am actually expecting another move. Maybe, okay, we've gotten this, I am actually expecting another move that should be lower than the previous 28k. Now this is for the daily chart. Now let's switch to other lower time frames, right? Let's switch to other lower time frames. From here we have 4 hours. Okay, this is the 4-hour chart, right? This is the 4-hour chart. Let me expand this thing so that we can see it clearly, right? So this is the 4-hour chart, and then for the 4-hour chart, we see this. We see that we are having what, this is actually a descending triangle, right? This is a descending triangle, yeah, a series of lower lows that is followed by a particular level that has not been crushed, right? This level that has not been crushed. Okay, so this is what we call a descending triangle. Okay, we started from here, went down here, came to this high, we couldn't go above it, rather we crashed down, came to this very one that we are making a series of lower highs, right? Came to this very one, then at this very point, now we got to this point. Okay, I want us to see this one clearly. We got people say that this is a breakout. I am not I don't agree that this is a breakout, right? Because for it to be a breakout, it needs to be higher than this, right? It needs to be higher than, but we did this breakout, it didn't actually go above this very point, right? That what we had was a fake out. This is actually a fake out. For a breakout to be called a total breakout, the new high should be higher than the previous high, but we didn't see it happen here. Rather, what we had was a fake out. It got to this very point. This was where we got our 35.6 something at 35.698. Yeah, we got 35.698 at this very point, but then it didn't go higher than 36, the 36.612 that we had. We only had 35.698. Then it started coming down again, and now this is where it is. It did as if it wants to go out, break out again, but then the breakout was not sustainable. It still came down again. But then something also is noteworthy here. And what is that thing that is noteworthy? You know, if a breakout is supposed to be sustainable, is to be sustained, right, so to say, right, we should see a build up close to the area of value, and this is actually the area of value, and then we saw this build up happening around here. This build up shows that this place has more power, like this area of value is of paramount importance more than we have it, because at this very place you see nothing happening here. So in other words, price action was more at this very point, so this place is actually more important than what happened there. So what it means is that it seems this move is actually favoring this very place, but then we are not sure. We cannot say we cannot say completely that the breakout is going to happen, because we, even after forming this series of price action at this very point, we saw this thing happening, breaking out, but it couldn't continue. It still came down again. Now it's now back to into the channel. It's now back into the descending triangle. Okay, it's now back. So maybe from here we could crash down, I do not know, but for us to understand better, we now go to other lower time frames. So from 4 hours, from 4 hours, because what I'm using for for me to do my analysis properly, I use the 4 to 6 factor that I learned from Alexander Elder on how to combine time frames. So from 4 hours I go to 1 hour, right? Let's look at 1 hour and see what 1 hour time frame is telling us. Okay, I gotta expand these as well, right? So this is our 1 hour time frame. This is our 1 hour, right? So let's just overlook these other places and focus on what is happening here. Let's not, so that we don't get confused or carried away by anything. So let me remove all these ones. They don't mean anything right now. Okay, I could just leave this here. I could just still leave this. I could just leave it here. Right. So for the 1 hour chart, okay, let me get my trend lines properly drawn. Right, for the 1 hour, I'm trying to get my trend lines here. Okay, trend line. All right, for the 1 hour, we get this here. That to these points, okay, that is negligible, so to say. Okay, we have something like this. This is also giving us the vibe of 4 hours. This is also giving us that 4 hours vibe. Okay, that we had. The 4 hour vibe we had earlier. This is also giving us such a vibe. Let me remove this so that it doesn't confuse us. Okay, so we have these here, and then we have, let me draw a horizontal line. We have this here. Okay, overlooking this fake out, we have this here. So you see that it's almost sharing the same bias as 4 hours, right? It's almost sharing the same thing as 4 hours. Let me expand this. Okay, let me expand it. Okay, it's almost sharing the same vibe as we saw in the 4 hour chart. Okay, all right, what happened at this very point? Overlook this. These are just fake outs and all that. These are just swing lows, so we just overlook it. We just overlook it right now. Okay, so we get this move here. We get this from here now. Okay, the same descending triangle, the same descending triangle that we saw in 4 hour chart. Okay, we still see this price moving within this region, and then there was this fake out that occurred there. Did as if it wanted to continue, but it still couldn't keep up. Now it's back into the channel again. It's back into the channel, right? The price action right now is within this channel. It's still within this channel. Okay, so that's that for the 4 hours. That's that for the 4 hours. Let's finally go to the lowest time frame I normally use for my daily trade. That's the 15 minutes time frame. That's my most preferred time frame, especially when I'm carrying out my day trading and all that, right? So the price action here has really been shitty, so to say. It's really been a very shitty one. Been a shitty one, actually. So we start from here right now. We start from, let me remove these ones. 15 minutes time frame. What it means is that if you're trading in 15 minutes time frame, you need to lay emphasis on what is currently happening, right? And what is happening at these very points. Okay, we have these here. Okay, we have this. We have this, and then another trend line around here. You have this. So this is more like a channel, right? This is more like a channel. This is the shittest price action I've ever seen. Like BTC did some crazy shit. From yesterday to this very morning, he's been doing a lot of crazy things, so to say. You see this actually was a channel. Okay, this is a channel. At a time BTC was ranging with inside this channel. Then we had this breakdown, so to say, that actually occurred there. But remembering the rule of candlestick, if you're basing your trading off candlestick chart, consider the number of reds and also consider the number of greens. We can see that the reds here are higher than the greens. Okay, so what it means that this dumping power is lower than the buying power. You can see that at this very point the buyers actually wanted to push the price upwards, but they couldn't keep up with, like they couldn't keep up with the energy. Dumpers actually came down and dumped. They can and dump it. You can see what this chart is actually doing. That is still descending. That is still going down, telling you that people are really ready to dump. Now, bringing us back to what we saw in our 4 hours, that until in our daily chart, until BTC is ready to break that 36,612, and okay, firstly it needs to go above 35,698, then it needs to break the 36,612. Until BTC does that, I am sorry to say that the bulls still have a lot to do. They still have a lot of work to do. So we see this breakdown now that is occurring. Like, this was actually a channel, so to say. So the channel there, but then it couldn't continue. Now it went below its price. Is actually market is actually trading below this channel. It's actually trading out of this channel at the lower region. Currently, this is actually a support. All right, this is a support region. At a time here was, let me get the trend line that will help us to do justice to that. Okay, no, it shouldn't be trend line, it should be horizontal line, right? So at this point, this was actually this place was a resistance initially. This was a resistance initially. This point was a resistance, but then we see this move at this point that it actually broke. It broke the resistance, right? It broke this resistance, and here that was serving as a support now is now back to serving as a resistance. At this point it was serving as a resistance, and here is now back to serving as a resistance. And then what is the next support we have? The next support we have is around here. We have a support around the, let me use this trend line to connote it. We have a support around here. All right, this is a support here. All right, so this brings us to the fact that this BTC is now back to forming another channel. So we could actually see it ranging maybe around here for the time being. It could probably keep on ranging around there for the time being until, let me still extend this. Let me still extend it. Right, until it breaks out of this current channel. Until it breaks out of this current channel, probably get back to this very place and maybe start trading within this zone. Right, that is the time we can now say, well, the bulls still have power. But remember that this is actually 15 minutes time frame, and that in the grand scheme of things, 15 minutes time frame is actually negligible, because we are looking at the higher time frame. So 15 minute time frame is actually meant for those who are day trading. If you're a trader, that is the time you can confirm, you can depend your chart on it. That's when you can base your facts or analysis on 15 minutes time frame. But now if you are more like a swing trader, keep your eyes on the higher time frame, the 4 hour and the daily. For right now, you can see that this price action has really been shit. I've not really seen this kind of thing, so to say. You saw this dump that occurred here, then at this it dumped again, now a rejection followed by this current move, got to this price, did as if it wanted to continue it, then there is still another dump, this dump that has actually brought it back to this very channel where it was. So this price action has actually been shitty, right? So like I said, what I normally do is that I start from the higher time frame daily. I go to 4 hour, from 4 hour I go to 1 hour, then from 1 hour, because for my day trading I use 1 hour as my higher time frame, and then use 15 minutes as my lower time frame to decide what is happening. For right now, what should I be doing at this very point in time? Actually, at this point, I just want to see things for myself. I wouldn't be taking any action at this very point. Yeah, my money will be with me. I wouldn't be buying, neither would I be selling at this very point until I see what happens there. But if I discover that maybe you're gonna having this kind of range that occurred there, this go up, come down, go up, come down, that occurred there, probably that's what I'll be doing. I would have to wait for this move now. You can see that it's going up. I would have to wait for this move to probably go up here again. Look at the price action, maybe short it here, and then put my TP before this support here. Probably put it around 33,850 or thereabout. Put my TP here, take my profit, wait for it again to see how it forms. Okay, so this is actually for those who are day trading. But then if you don't have all the time for yourself, I think you should just sit this one out. Like allow the market to do all the shitty things it wants to do, or maybe till it starts dumping again. Maybe if it goes below this very channel where it currently is, then that's a good time for you to short. And then if you're shorting at this very point, just know that the next support should be something around there, right? So we should be having around 33,200, the 33,200 region. That's only if this current move now goes out of this channel. So if it eventually goes out of the channel, it means that our next support is around this 33,200 and something, right? But then if it goes above here, that means we are having another resistance, probably something around there. Let me get the horizontal resistance and support too. Okay, so we should have something like this. We could have something like this. Okay, let me just sketch it out. I'll still align it. Okay, let me expand this too. Okay, so we should have something like this. For this very one now, we see that this is really the next support. If this support doesn't hold and then it gets to this very point, this is the next support. But assuming that this move now goes up again, okay, goes back into this channel, what it means that the next resistance we are having is around here, right? We're having a resistance around this. And remember that resistance are not points, right? Resistance and support are not points, rather they are zones. So we should be having a resistance around this zone and then the support around this zone. The same thing happens there. If this candle now doesn't continue with this move but rather breaks down, the next support should be around this zone, and this place automatically becomes its resistance. All right, guys, that's just pretty much all I want us to share about the chart, and I hope it's been insightful enough, and I will see you in the next episode. I remain your man, Mr. Solution.